hey, a win is a win. It's great to be 2-0. Great start for the Saints. But if we're really going to break this down the right way, we got to talk about the offensive struggles. I'm Brooke Kirchhofer alongside Nick Underhill. And Nick, look, they slug it out in the end. Even Dennis Allen said, I love that we were able to come back in the end and our offense was able to put on when their backs were against the wall. But you don't want to have that heading into the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, 2-0 is 2-0, so you take them out, you can get them, figure it out, put the makeup on it later, make it look good down the line. But if we're being real, this is a little bit disappointing on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't want to treat this game like a loss because I think these are character-building wins. I think there's a little bit of an element of they don't want to push too much on offense because their defense is playing so well. So, why risk it and put yourself in a bad position? But when you go out and you get Derek Carr, when you have Mike Thomas making 7 catches in the first half, when you have Chris Olave, a budding superstar, Rashid Shaheed becoming a star in his own right, it should look a lot easier than it is right now. Now, granted, they have no running backs available, and that matters. But offense shouldn't feel as hard as it does right now, and it's a little bit disappointing to start the season.
Yeah, everything being hard is exactly what we were saying at halftime, that why is it so difficult for the Saints to just put a drive together? They really struggled. Look, there's a lot of reasons, but I will say one positive that you can take away from these two games, Derek Carr is 100% building trust with his receivers when their backs are against the wall at the end of the games. Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, those are the big three that you wanted Derek Carr to build confidence with and comfortability with. It's definitely there.
Yeah, no, that there's times and there's moments, and when they need a big play, they found a big play. So it isn't all bad. But there's a lot of stuff that just simply has to be way better than it is. I think the offensive line is a major, major issue right now. I wasn't impressed really with anyone. Again, I thought Ryan Ramczyk played well, but there were issues across the board. We'll kind of see how those fall on each guy, but I think the other 4 all kind of had bad moments overall. Cesar Ruiz, James Hurst, Trevor Penning, for sure. I talked to Penning after the game in the locker room. He said last week he came out trying not to lose. This week he was trying to win. I did think he got a little bit better. Is it good enough? I don't think so. I think there's still a lot of work to do there, and that stuff does affect the quarterback, and it affects everything else, and if you can't run the ball, that affects the quarterback too. So I'm not putting it all on Carr, all on the offensive line, all on the running backs, but I think there's just kind of dirty hands across the board, and it's got to be a lot better going forward. The crazy thing is they play kind of another weak team again next week. They could probably be bad on offense if the defense plays like this, but at some point it needs to flip, and you just got to get a little bit better and be the reason that you're kind of winning games and make it look a little bit easier.
You mentioned the offensive line. How many times did we see the left side just collapse altogether? It's not just Trevor Penning. I know that we continue to hound him. I mean, he really got his rookie season taken away from him, and with left tackles, as Doug Marrone told us, it's only going to get better with reps. He's not going to be somebody who is just a finished product right away. But with Trevor Penning there and Derek Carr getting sacked 4 times, you cannot keep piling. He got sacked 4 times in week 1, 4 times in week 2. You can't have another week where he gets sacked 4 times again. The quarterback is going to get frustrated when he has pressure in his face. He's going to struggle to get into a rhythm and figure things out when the offensive line is collapsing. But to me, one of the biggest factors was when you can't get your run game going, it doesn't allow Derek Carr to be comfortable in the pocket either.
Well, what do you think of Carr overall, just throughout the game? If you had to kind of give the instant grade on it, we aren't marrying ourselves to this grade, but just walking off the field, what do you think of his performance?
I think he made the necessary adjustments at halftime. I think it's a lot of give and take between Derek Carr and Pete Carmichael, and the trust in each other, the trust in themselves in this offense. Pete Carmichael is still trying to kind of identify what he wants this offense to be. I think that is also playing into it. I don't think this is a Derek Carr problem. I think this is a Derek Carr in an offense that hasn't quite figured itself out yet. So I'm not giving him a bad grade because you came out here on primetime, Monday Night Football, in a place where the Saints have struggled, and you pull out the win. And those 2 incredible plays, the one to Chris Olave, which credit to him, he was the one that kept that play alive, but a beautiful ball from Derek Carr to Rashid Shaheed for the 45-yard reception. I want to continue to see some of those things and not just do it when your back's against the wall. Do it in the flow of the game when teams are not expecting it. You know what I mean? That's what I think this offense, you add in those explosive plays into the game plan, not just, oh my gosh, we got to get down there, we got to score, we're going to lose. add it to the game plan. I think it'll work.
Yeah, they got to just make routine plays too.
Yeah.
Like just move the chains, be in better situations. Some of that stuff does come down to the blocking and everything. I was talking to a scout with another team who was watching this game, and the one thing I said, hey, like, what is your takeaway from this? And he's like, look, the Saints know what they are, and that's not a bad thing to figure it out this early in the season. They're a defensive team right now. So it's okay to kind of lean into that a little bit, but when you have the $150 million quarterback, you got to make some $150 million plays. And it isn't just, it needs to be more than just the big play stuff. That at some point they got to move the chains, they got to be better. I agree with you. I just thought it was okay. You know, like I think he saved it again with like some late plays he came through. If you were handing out grades going into the fourth quarter, it was bad. Like I was ready to kill him in my story today. I rewrote it a little bit, but like it still isn't good enough. And I'm just sick of seeing everything be a grind on offense.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to change. There's too many good players. When you get everybody back, I think that kind of takes care of it. But Carr, Pete Carmichael, everybody, they just kind of got to figure out what they want to be, lean into it, and just figure out how to be that for 60 minutes.
All right, last thing before we get out of here. We keep asking, what's going on with the tight ends? Why are we not seeing more Jimmy Graham? Why are we not seeing more Foster Moreau? Why are we not seeing more Juwan Johnson? Is that maybe another issue that if they can integrate some of these tight ends, which, to be fair, they weren't necessarily giving help throughout the whole game. So I'm thinking, all right, they're in there, like they're going to throw to them. They just never did. What is it going to take to get the tight ends involved?
The other two, whatever happens with them happens. But I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of Juwan Johnson because the connection between him and Carr was outrageous throughout training camp. Yeah, and people with the team kept saying it's comfortable, which is the best thing you can be with the quarterback and a new receiver. It just hasn't materialized yet. I don't know. I think it's just a symptom of the offense as a whole. They just kind of really haven't gotten a lot of rhythm and just haven't sustained a lot of drives, and it has been a lot of chunk plays. So that's where Carr's going with it. But that has been shocking. I don't know the answer to it right now. Like it's something that they need to figure out. And I think if there was like a simple answer, Juwan would be making more plays than he is. And I think he will at some point. I just think that's just another thing that kind of has to fall in place for the offense.
And look, we will continue to be breaking it all down on NewOrleans.Football. We are going to be back at practice on Wednesday, and then following Wednesday's practice, we will have a full-blown show breaking down all the film after we've rewatched this Saints win over the Carolina Panthers. We'll see you then.